Hello, one and all. Hello, adventurers. Oh, that is not working as I thought. Let us try and sort out this chat box. The chat box is insanely big. Um, but we have got some people in chat, which is cool. Let us shrink it down. We can try and fit it here. So we've got the chat box functioning just about. Hello, everybody. Andy here from Twisted Narrative live, and you can tell how good I am with technology as I've had to sort out the chat. This is the first time we've used this layout. It's my weekend workshop. Not so much to tell you how to run your games, but we're going to crunch some things together and see what comes out. Malcolm, thank you for joining us. And you've already asked, is Idiot of the God one of the missing two gods from Shadowdark or something from my own creation? It will indeed be from my own creation. I'm going to quickly change the style of chat as well. I thought old school was quite cool, but we'll go to clean and hopefully that will be better. Evening. I'm glad to see that you'll be around for an hour. I've got no idea how long I'll be on. Depends on what the interest is. Depends on my creative juices. Hello, Jack. Thank you very much for jumping in. Tonight's stream is kind of a little bit Shadowdarky. It's also a little bit creative. One of the things that I was interested in doing at the start of the year was the Dungeon 23, hashtag 23, and I kind of started doing it, but the wind got knocked out of my sails a little bit with everything that happened with the OGL and everything else, and I managed to complete the month, but I didn't finish doing it. So I kind of want to play a little bit of catch up. To answer your question about is it one of the missing gods? No, I don't want to lean too much into the lore and get it wrong. I've got no idea who these missing gods are. I don't know whether Kelsey and Arcane Library are planning on sort of fleshing that out for their own sort of game setting. So I chose the Idiot God as a thing of my kind of own creation. I say that I'm drawing quite a lot of inspiration from other places for such a thing. So, as I'm desperately trying to get chat to actually, our chat is working now, which is great. Let us see if we can just get this sort of larger. Boom, boom. Can we? Yeah, we can make it larger. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. Hopefully everybody can see that on screen a little better. You never know truly with these layouts what they're like until they go live, as it were. So, Fantasy Grounds Unity is our tabletop of choice, virtual tabletop of choice. We've been using it for a long time now. There's not actually a Shadowdark actual rule set on there at the moment, as far as I'm aware. I think some people have been sort of playing around with it. So we're going to create a campaign based off 5th edition, and we are going to adapt it for Shadowdark. So this experiment that we're doing can be run in any kind of game system, really. But feel free to keep the chat coming. Feel free to ask questions. So a number of things. I kind of want it to be a mega dungeon. The reason for that is I want to do Dungeon 23. I've missed January, February, March, so that is 3 months worth of catching up to do, as well as keeping up with April. So quite a big task on top of everything else that I've got. As you all know, I'm very inspired at the moment by Shadowdark, and I think it'll be quite a fun to do a mega dungeon with that. The name Halls of the Idiot God came to mind because big fan of Lovecraftian horror, big fan of Robert E. Howard and Conan style, and I think both of these genres merged together could easily make an interesting um, setting for a mega dungeon. And what I've got in mind is drawing in from Merc Borg, the idea of seals, not the nice ones that are animals, but magical seals. And there are a number of these scattered throughout these halls. And there are various factions trying to either keep them secured or trying to break them. So it gives this concept to these halls a living aspect to it. I'm very keen on mega dungeons to be kind of their own ecosystems, different levels, different factions on the same level, to do a little bit of role playing, to do some negotiation, to do some sort of, do we want to side with this faction or a different faction? Um, so those are the very vague concepts. I haven't come up with very much else. I mean, it's not a complete setting. We are literally going to create an adventure. Let me know if you think this is nonsense or whether you like it. Malcolm has said I started the D23 playing in the solar system 4 Against Darkness. Also dropped off, but it seems a good side project to Shadowdark. Absolutely, I'm keen. I'm keen enough to have the energy to sort of restart this. I'm still trying to get this sorted. This chat is, there we go, perfect. Oh yes, it's gone up. Solo says I too was doing Dungeon 23 using Dungeon Scroll, which was an awesome and free tool. Um, Port to any virtual tabletop. I just lost interest in the Dungeon 23. Yeah, it's quite a challenge. Quite a challenge. As I say, I basically in January we're going through sort of all sorts of different sort of mindsets and the like. But I'm back. I'm back. So where to start? Let us. We've got a very fresh campaign setting here. We've not even loaded up any modules yet. So just for convenience, I'm going to load up the core rule books for 5th edition because these will have basic things that I need. Dungeon Master's Guide is good. And then we need obviously the handbook. And the other reason for doing this project is I'm doing 2 other Shadowdark projects at the moment, but each of them are different. So when I kind of think of things that are cool ideas, or I think they are cool ideas, but they don't quite fit in one of the styles of play for Shadowdark, for either the urban Tales from the Smoke or the Eisenfaust West Marches, I can put it into the Mega Dungeon and vice versa. All 3 of them will have different feels, which will be fun to do. So we've just loaded up the modules then. Um, yeah, a big shout out to everybody involved in Dungeon Scrawl. It's a very very good little application. Um, I look at quite a few different map making tools. I've purchased Dungeon Alchemist, which is very good, very interesting for when you want to do sort of 3D maps and visualizing your maps. Dungeon Scrawl is really good for old school style sort of map making. Fantastic tools for design as well. What I tend to do though, when I start getting sort of designing, is um, before I even think about maps and everything else, is to try and get the concept down and then build from there. And getting the concept is half of the job, I think. So what I tend to do on Fantasy Grounds, because I use this all the time, not just to run games on, but I find it very, very useful for me to create story, create encounters, create NPCs and items and everything else. So I tend to use Fantasy Grounds Unity for a record keeping tool as well. Halls of the Idiot God. I kind of like that title, just purely from the fact that gods aren't meant to be idiots. I haven't thought much more beyond that. We've titled it now, so any of the notes that we put, the new stories, will be filed underneath there. So the first thing I'll do is kind of maybe overview. You'll have to excuse me. I've only got one screen, so I am flitting between all sorts of chat and sort of stream and Fantasy Grounds. So please bear with me. But I am interested in all of your thoughts. Let's see if we can frame this a little better. I quite like my twisted narrative logo up there, but it does. Well, we can't seem to move that now. That is not optimal. There we go. Everything was going wrong for a moment. And as you can tell, this is not scripted. I have no idea what I'm doing. So the overview. Halls of the I do like the idea of there being these seals, and as we all know, 666 is quite an iconic occult number of the beast. So I don't know whether to have 666 or 666 3 times 6. So I think it is a mega dungeon. Okay, so we could have. I mean, this sounds crazy, but it's supposed to be big, and it's not the first time that I've done crazy. So just thinking there, 600 minor seals. And then 60 major. And then 6. I mean, what would we call them? What goes beyond major? Legendary, perhaps? 6 levels, 6 areas, 6 rooms. You've kind of said each. Yeah, I mean we could do that. Um, It's an interesting one. I do like that number, and I kind of want it to be Um, so 6 levels, 6 areas, 6 rooms each. Yeah, okay. Mythic, yeah, it's mythic or legendary. I quite like mythic because, like, we've got the MMMMM. Um, so we're going also 6 levels. Within those levels, there are uh, 6 what we'll call them sort of areas, I suppose. And then within those 6 areas, there are 6 rooms. Um, I will have to do a little bit of math here. Uh, level 1 will have 6 areas and 6 rooms to each area. So 6 is a 36. Um, so 36 rooms split over 6 areas, which is very good. And then just getting all of my equipment out. If we're doing 6 levels, that is 36 rooms to a level. I mean, this is quite good because this is kind of half a year, I guess. Mm. So, so we're looking at 216 rooms across the dungeon. Okay, sounds good. Yeah. Thank you for that maths, Malcolm. It really helps. Um, so, I mean, that's a starting point. That's the starting point, um, which I'm not opposed to at all. I think it makes sense. We're not going to have all of those though, so I think what we fundamentally do is just make it 6, 6, and 6. Um, and that then means there is one of each on each level, which makes much more sense. Um, and now we've got kind of a theme as well, the idiot god, but the number 666, the number of the beast, sort of works for me. So the next thing that I rapidly do is that we can then create a few of these, and we can sort of order them. So A1 we call, which is level 1, and then close that down, A2. The reason why I put these numbers in front of them is because it then keeps them in order. And I tend to do this fairly rapidly because it gives me then various areas to work in, and I basically know where I am and what I've done so far. So A4 level 4, then A5 level 5, and then one more, A6 level 6. Okay, nicely done there. So we can see now we've got 6 levels and an overview, and we've got information we can put into all of those levels, which is good. Yeah, 6-pointed star is potentially very useful as an icon as well. Loving all of these ideas. So we can then theme each of the levels. We don't need to worry too much about what's on the middling levels. What we kind of need to think about now is what is the hook, what is the reason for adventurers going into this mega dungeon. Also, what is the end point? Why do people, the adventurers, the dungeon crawlers or crawlers, want to fight their way down to level 6? I'm quite excited with this because the rules of Shadowdark is about resource management, and resource management is very critical. If you're in a part of a level and you are running out of resources, you have to make a conscious decision on whether you're going to chance your luck or whether you're going to sort of return. So this has got a good feel. I think 6 levels is a sensible amount, and they don't necessarily need to represent character levels. So the hook, fundamentally, what is the hook? Let's go back to my overview for the moment. Okay. You see, I quite like my games to start off with a little bit of a bang, as it were. We could, yeah. This is what I'm thinking, Solo, the dungeon's purpose. I'm thinking that the dungeon has remained, the halls have remained sealed for a very long time, lost to histories maybe, um, and in recent times it's been found, located by the cult of um, the idiot god, and when they uncovered it, they became very aware that they need to break these seals. So it's the cultists that want to break the seals. Um, and what they have fundamentally done is spread word far and wide about treasures that can be found in the pools of the idiot god. Um, and our adventuring party, because they want to attract adventurers in so that they can perhaps sacrifice them to break these seals, and perhaps each seal, whether it's minor or major or mythic, requires a certain amount of sacrifice to do that. And speaking of resource management, I quite like the idea of being quite mean and making it very, very survivalist. How about the characters? Yeah, I mean, Solo, that's good. How about the characters have fallen for the trap, the cheese on the mouse trap, and um, we don't make it so much about what they're doing. It's how they are going to escape, and we actually start them on level 6. Um, Level 6 is the deepest part of the halls, and it's where they keep these adventurers, these crawlers. Um, and it's the least populated part because it's the lowest sort of part. Um, and they could either be using the delvers to break the seals. They could be using the delvers to incidentally kill the denizens of the dungeon, um, or they could just be captured there, that they need to break free, and then they need to get out of the halls themselves. So it becomes you're in the deepest part of the deepest dungeon, and you need to escape. And there will be some other dungeoneers, some crawlers that have been brought in previously that maybe have escaped, and they formed their own sort of factions within the dungeon. Some have decided to sort of stay here, others are still lost. And of course, in between the levels, there are all sorts of either cultists, but also creatures that are spawned from the mind of the idiot god. I do like my aberrations, so I'm thinking that that might be quite a good different start, which is, yeah, you're in the most dangerous bit. Um, you need to find your gear, your equipment, and you need to try and escape from this place, or find some allies. I think that's got a more interesting start than it's a mega dungeon and delve in, find some loot, go out. Maybe they don't know they are doing the bidding of the cultists, then figure out on the last seal, giving them a choice of greed, relieving the or not breaking the last seal to deny the cultist. Absolutely, I think there should be clues there for what they are doing or not doing. Um, I'm not very I'm not very keen on railroading. I do like the adventures to have a life of their own. Malcolm has said, yeah, invert the delving part of the typical adventure. I think whatever reason we do, I'm feeling that. It's a great opening of, well, adventurers. Things have not gone your way, and you just know that there's a very long way to go. You really will need to manage your resources and be very careful how you go. So I think we're going to do that. I'm loving all these ideas, by the way, not just mine, everybody else's as well. So what's the hook? Characters are captured or lured uh, to the halls and start uh, in the deepest parts of the dungeon. That's cool. I do like that, and I think that's certainly a motivation. Their hook is survive. Survive. I can't spell survive. Is there just no I? I'm sure I must be either dyslexic or perhaps. Yeah, lured does seem to be a better option. It again. Uh, there we go. I'm missing a V. That's why it didn't look right. Um, survive. Yeah, lured. I think sounds better. It doesn't make the characters feel like that they. I mean, I know that this is technically for Shadowdark, but it could be for another system. Um, It doesn't feel like you have failed already. It feels like you have been tricked, manipulated, and then woken up. Perhaps drugged, maybe. There's nothing worse than sort of waking up with a terrible hangover in the pitch black. I mean, that could even be a good starting point as well. Drugged and unaware of the other characters. So you're thrown together with a group of characters that you have never adventured with before. You're not an adventuring party. Who can you trust? Who can you not trust? Um, yep, I'm liking that very much. Well, we're kind of 30 minutes into it, and I've certainly we have certainly got a very nice feel for what we're trying to do. We will invert it. So I'm coming back to my story and looking at these, and what I'm going to do now is actually switch all of these around. This again is what I quite like about Fancy Grounds. Uh, there might be other things that you can use, but you can. Oh, I've done that wrong. you can you can edit and change, and it's very very cool for this. So level 5 will be a 2. Level 4 will be a 3. Uh, and level 5 will be a 4. Have I done that right? So A1 is 6. So level 2 is a 5. So um, we just need to swap these around, don't we? It's been a very long day. So this is A2. So 6, 5. That's right. 4. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And this is going to be the toughest. It could be rationalised that the cultists have definitely fortified the top level to prevent any champions of the light or enemies of the idiot god from storming the halls. So perhaps the most heavily guarded, and they've brought up from the bowels, the depths of level 6, some of the more dangerous creatures, leaving the lower areas less guarded. Yeah, I mean, that is definitely making a degree of sense to me. How about everybody else? Boom, boom. Just come over to here. So let us have a look at this. Lewis seems a better vibe, says Solo. Malcolm says, and escape. Solo says, maybe make them release. They have been lured once in, then they know about escape. Escape means undoing the seals to be freed. Realise you could enter your chat mess. That's okay. I think I got your frame of thought there, Solo. Solo then says the gatekeeper becomes the boss that way. Yeah, indeed. It kind of. I think it's an interesting inverted dynamic, and indeed it sort of gives a lot of emphasis of. Um, where they're going. Now, the next thing that we do need to bear in mind is there are going to need to be potentially areas they can hole up in. I'm thinking that this should be characters should level up. Now, I believe in Shadowdark it doesn't really matter. The dungeon master, the games master, can level the characters up whenever. But there might well be a need to resupply. There might be a need to trade. Because gear slots are very important. And I think all of these could be done by small bubbles of other adventurers, other crawlers that have been captured and have also escaped and kind of formed this ecosystem within the dungeon. So other crawlers. Quite like the idea as well that some of the cultists might have gone AWOL, might have decided not to see the way of the idiot god, and therefore they are renegade. Maybe, I do like this word, schism. Like it, can't spell it. Maybe a schism, a power balance or something has occurred, and yeah, that works quite nice. Maybe seals open up safe spaces for rest, recovery, level up. These bubbles are others that gave on trying to escape. Yeah, I mean, that is quite nice, but breaking the seals could unleash horrors. So you do balance up. That sounds very shadow darky. Shall we break a seal so we can rest? Or do we keep it sealed so we don't have to face even greater evils? Yeah. Uh, Maybe seals can offer respite. And of course, that does mean that some of the cultists previously could have broken them. Yep, that is a very, very cool idea. So, I mean, we've got a very, I think, quite solid sort of concept of what we are doing here now. For the sort of final 20 minutes, I think what we will look at is the level 6, which is the starting level. And what I tend to do, how I tend to write adventures is, rather than doing rooms of the dungeon, as it were, I kind of write sort of encounters, and then I try and fit them and then build from those encounters the geography of the dungeon or the surroundings, basically. Yeah, Malcolm, I think solo is spot on there. I think that's very, very nice, and with that additional sort of concept of um, having to make that conscious action, it means the players as well as the characters need to make that judgment call. I think that's yeah, big thumbs up, Solo. Very, very, a very good, insightful shout. I'm loving what we've done so far. I am loving what we've done. Um, so, as I say, what I tend to do is just bang down sort of if we are doing so area, we're doing 6 areas and we are doing 6 rooms per area. Don't necessarily need to be rooms, they can be Um, there could be sort of encounters or whatever. So area 1, area 2. One, two, three, four, five, six. Yeah, this is kind of the way that I do things, because I kind of know how much I need to sort of fill in then. So we've got an area 3, an area 4, an area 5, and oops, I'm an idiot. I've had a long day. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. And let's just tag these properly. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Excellent stuff. So I do this so I can kind of see what I've got to work with. On top of this as well, there will be random encounters, an important part of Shadowdark. Of course, random encounters don't necessarily need to equate to combat. Um, boom, boom, boom. Maybe 6 encounters, but more than 6 rooms. Going to need to get more torches for sure. Oh, absolutely. I kind of want this to be a bit of a mega dungeon. I kind of want this to be. Um, I want it to be that experience of feeling that they need to survive. Not a meat grinder. I mean that's easy to do. But it's kind of eking out every resource. When you are thinking of casting aside a bag of gems for a torch because you want to cling on to that light. It's very, very much the kind of sort of feel that I've got from Shadowdark, and it's what has drawn me to it. Um, so yeah, so we can maybe 6 encounters, but more than 6 rooms. Indeed, we can certainly do that. I do need to expand it out a little bit for Dungeon 23, as you said, 365. But what we are looking at here is we're kind of looking at these 6 areas now, and we are looking at um, 6 kind of encounters per area. I mean, the first area, which is area 1, which we might as well put as starting point. It is fairly sort of straightforward. You kind of need a starting point, um, and obviously, if this was a large dungeon crawl, a mega dungeon, the first encounter, the first thing that is going to happen is introductions. Um, I do like what we've actually said so far is the characters are lurid, and again, this is kind of why I like these notes, because they are easily transferable from sort of page to page, really. So we were basically said characters are lured to the halls and start in the deepest part of the dungeon. I mean, we don't have to tell them this, of course. Let us put some brackets around that for secret, because Because I think what would be nice is they don't actually know where they are. I think they drugged, unaware of other characters, awaken in darkness. Looking at that, that sounds good. Solo says, drop the bag of gens worth 200 gold for the 5 silver torch. Yeah, no, it's great. Survival is what it's about. Um, and I like it. I quite like my survival horror computer games. Excuse me, I'm just sticking some music on to keep my mind active. Um, and Shadowdark feels like that. You know, you have to make choices um, over resources. It's very very cool for that. So I mean, questions to you, chat. I mean, Solo and Malcolm, you've certainly been an inspiration already. Um, should we have them even in an even more predicament? Should they be chained? Uh, how about just in a prison cell, um, locked from the other side? Maybe they're going to have to overcome one of their guards, these cultists. And that's another thing. So something that has been actively on my mind is that I think we need these cultists to be otherworldly. I think that um, they should have dark vision, so that they can exist in the dark, in the darkest places of the halls, which again means that they don't require torches, um, so that the characters will have to sort of find those kind of items. And it also explains why much of the halls are in darkness. Um, so we need to decide who these cultists are. So we'll go back to the overview. I think this is an important question. Um, I mean, they don't have to be of a single ancestry, um, obviously. Um, Certainly some of the others might be bestowed the wisdom of the idiot god. I kind of like that really, because it kind of is is two opposites. But who are the cultists? Or the main worshippers, the original worshippers, perhaps, of the idiot god. Um, I mean, stereotypically for sort of Robert E. Howard's writing, you know, they can be ancient, perhaps a lizard or serpent folk from a time long gone, or we can mix it up a little bit. Um, I mean, I don't particularly want to do dark elves. I want to do something a little bit different, something um, sort of Cthulhu-esque, or rather mythos-esque. Um, yeah, no, I'm kind of thinking I kind of want them to be, like I say, sort of heralds or agents of an elder god. And I'm thinking uh, we might homebrew them. If you are familiar with sort of the works of Call of Cthulhu, sort of Chaosium's fantastic role play game, you've got the Migo, you've got the I think it's called they're not called the Elder Ones, but there are a whole host of races like that, and I do like the idea that these creatures are alien, not just a fantasy race, but truly alien. Um, lean on the Doctor Who Ood, or however it's Ood. Yeah. I think is it Ood. Um, they kind of went a little bit strange with them, but they had, I think, creatures called the Silence as well, or something like that. I'm afraid I'm of an age where classic Doctor Who was all the stuff that I used to watch. Um, that's not to say that I didn't think David Tennant, Matt Smith were not good doctors. They certainly were. Hmm. Yeah, I like the idea of these alien race that don't look at all humanoid. So I'm just going to say servitors at the moment, because servitors is a good title. Servitors, okay. Servitors of the idiot god. Um, uh, unearthly. Uh, uh, totally alien in design. We're thinking like odd number of limbs, maybe insectoid or arachnid, and different types of them as well to do different things. We can have maybe some that are coated in chitin or something that are very difficult to actually do any damage to, and other ones are thinkers, the priesthood of the idiot god. Perfect. So, and that explains why much of this place is in darkness, because these are not humanoids. The servitors are they have dark vision. Because I kind of wanted to have a little bit of a mythos streak to it, and I think by making the cultist or these servitors totally alien works in that flavour. Yeah, classic was very good. Tom Baker was my doctor for certain. Right. I mean, I think we are getting there now. This is very nice. I want to thank both of you for all of the comments so far. I love the concept of starting at the bottom of the dungeon. I think that makes a change. Doesn't feel like they're delving a little bit and retreating, delving a little bit and retreating. They have to find a safe place, and there are horrors hidden and not amongst them. So, introductions, they are awaken in darkness, and they introduce themselves. I mean, this is not a design of a one shot. This is designed for a sort of a mega dungeon. So um, it doesn't matter. Each session will take as long or as short as is needed. Introduce themselves. I think it's good to have no equipment. No equipment, but possible grim uh, items to use. So I like the idea of that there might be some rusty chains, or some bones, some rags from previous adventurers in here. maybe some vermin running around as well. Maybe if they do a search, they might be able to pull out some of the flagstones to use. It needs to be grim descriptions, but I think the word I'm looking for is salvage. Salvage. Um, Possible grim items to use. Okay, but they are indeed locked in. Locked in this chamber, which is a prison cell. Quite like the idea for ambience. What I tend to do when I'm kind of creating scenes is I go through all the senses, some of which I use, some of which I don't. So we've got sight, we've got smell, we've got touch, we've got taste, we've got hearing. So sight is a pitch black. Smell, rot, damp. Boom, boom, boom. Touch, flagstones, old, algae, slimy flagstones. Yeah. Taste, I don't think we really need to do unless they start licking things. And hearing, I think close will be breathing of others. And then far, screams and cries for help. Okay, I've just had another thought, and I will use this. We're coming up to kind of an hour, so I think I'm going to wrap it up here and then take this away. I might do another quick hour tomorrow night for a weekend workshop. But I've just had a thought. It was probably there lurking with me. Leading into mythos. I'm going to stick this in the overview again. Okay, what if the idiot god, is trying to regain its mind? And it does this by draining other people's sanity. So the halls are designed to drive mortals mad. Maybe breaking seals makes them lose part of their mind as well. Breaking seals feed the idiot god. I'm liking all of this. I think there's a lot there that we can hang some things upon. I don't know. I'm very much I like that. I'll do a quick recap. The halls of the idiot god. So far, what we have is the characters are lured, perhaps drugged. They start in the deepest parts of the dungeon, or rather these halls. They are drugged and perhaps unaware of the other characters, having to form alliances with complete strangers. Um, Amongst these halls, there are seals that, if broken, will slowly awaken the idiot god, mending its mind, um, but at the cost of the minds of those that break them. But these places can offer a degree of respite, of safety amongst the halls. The cultists are servitors of the idiot god, uh, totally alien in design. The design of the halls is fundamentally designed to drain others' sanity. They are designed to drive mortals mad, feeding the idiot god. Um, can they make their way out of this terrible mega dungeon? And if they can, will they have their minds complete and intact, or will they be broken? Uh, that is very, very good. I think we have got quite a solid foundation there. I'm certainly very happy with that brainstorming for only an hour, starting up with just the title. Um, I shall think more upon this. But for now, I want to say a big thank you for those of you who have contributed, those of you who have been in chat. Solo and Malcolm, I really appreciated the input. And if we get chance, um, I might do another hour tomorrow night, depending on time. So watch out in Discord. You can find the information below. Um, and if I've got time, we perhaps will put some more thought to this. I think all next week on the Shadowdark dailies, I'll be expanding upon this, so watch out for that as well. In the meantime, a big thank you to you all for taking part. If you are watching on just standard YouTube on catch up, thank you very much. Put some comments in the comment section about what you think, whether this is the kind of dungeon you would like to run, or perhaps even adventuring, or are we vastly off the mark? In the meantime, have a great rest of day. Stay safe, everybody, and I will catch you soon. Adventurers, don't forget to keep your torches lit. Goodbye for now.